Back here on Sportsline with Showtime Eric Young, WWE superstar, longtime professional wrestler, one of the best in the business, former world heavyweight champion. We're talking all things pro wrestling, and we're also talking about some of the things that you're doing outside of wrestling. During the break, you were telling me about doing some stuff you're doing for The Athletic.
Yeah. The Athletic is an amazing company.
Oh, yeah.
Like took the sports world by storm.
Yep.
I can say maybe not in the first 2 or 3 months of its existence, but within 3 or 4 months of it being around, I was a subscriber right away. All of the best hockey writers. I'm a huge hockey guy. Like I say, I'm going to go right from here and play tonight. Poorly, but I'm going to play. But yeah, I love it. I consume it. I watch 200 to 300 games every year.
Wow.
Because of technology, and
Sure.
I have my iPad, so I can watch them everywhere, anywhere. Like we were just in Saudi Arabia, and I'm setting my alarm so I can wake up at 2 in the morning, watch the Preds play the Dallas Stars. So I'm a complete psycho when it comes to that kind of stuff. But yeah, they went into the fantasy world, and I've been into fantasy sports for a long, long time. Played football and hockey for about 14 years. And it's a huge hobby of mine.
Yeah. So you're writing for The Athletic.
Yeah, I just started writing for them. So I do a podcast. Airs Wednesdays and Fridays.
Okay.
The Wednesday one is free to anybody, so you can download that anywhere. You can get podcasts.
Okay. What's the name of it?
Four Stacked Lines.
Okay.
It's a fantasy hockey. We just talk hockey. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
the emphasis is definitely on fantasy, and it's the hardest fantasy sport because it's every day.
Sure.
It in basketball. I'm not a basketball fan. That's just because basketball is at the same time as hockey, and I don't have the bandwidth to do both. So I started working for them, which is a very cool opportunity for me. Started writing. We were talking off air. My mom passed away about 1.5 years ago, and I wish that you could see this. You mean like a guy that barely passed high school and was told very early on that he wasn't smart and wasn't going to make anything of himself, and she said, no, that's not the case. You don't like school, but that doesn't make you a stupid person. You're a smart person. So I don't think I'm the best writer, but I'm learning to do it on the fly, and it's a very cool opportunity for me. Talking hockey and writing about hockey and fantasy sports, which I'm really into. A complete psychopath when it comes to that stuff. So working for The Athletic is very, very cool.
Well, I know 2.5 years ago when the Preds made their run to the Stanley Cup final, you were
I was all over.
You were very active on social media.
Yep.
What was that like for you? As somebody that, a lifelong hockey fan, and you kind of, you made the Nashville Predators your team. You go to games. You're very, you're into the Nashville Predators.
Yeah.
What was that run like? Because obviously it was incredible for the city. What was that like for you?
That run for me is what solidified this as a hockey market. 2014, I was living here, and they almost lost the team.
Yeah.
And when I moved here, when they got the Predators, I was so pumped. It's like, finally, I live in a town where, I live close to Detroit, but I was never a Detroit fan. I grew up a Maple Leafs fan.
Okay. Yeah.
That's 4 hours away. Getting a ticket is one, crazy expensive.
Because they're like the Yankees in Canada,
yes.
right? Yeah.
Not affordable for for a family of four that doesn't make a ton of money. Plus it was a forest, so we'd have to stay in a hotel and all this. I never went to a live Toronto game ever in my life.
Wow.
Diehard Toronto fan. Moved here, became a Predators fan, started following the team, and then one thing leads to another. I'm on TV and I meet this guy and I meet that guy, and I had a charity thing, and there's Jordan Tutu and he's cool, and I talk to him, and I meet David Lagwan, and then Mike Fisher sends me a tweet or a DM on Twitter. Man, I love your show, and I can't believe me and my wife watch it. Like, oh yeah, just you and Carrie Underwood hanging out watching my television show. It's crazy.
You ever stop to think about that? Like, Mike and Carrie just sitting on the couch watching you on TV.
It blew my mind. And Mike Fisher was one of my favorite hockey players.
Oh, he's a great guy.
I followed him since he played for the Senators.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm a diehard hockey fan. Like I know everything about every player. Live it, breathe it, die it every night.
Right.
Another game to watch. But yeah, great guy. Became friends with him through the Predators. That run, beating the Anaheim Ducks finally, going into the second round. Playing the Stanley Cup playoffs, missing two or three of their best players, taking them to a Game 6, almost made it a Game 7. I mean, what a sports moment for me. Coming down here and I'd come down early and just walk around downtown.
Sure.
And
downtown was amazing during the whole games.
Unbelievable. And the city put itself, the city put itself on the map as far as sports go. I know ESPN voted it the Predators number one sports
franchise. Yeah,
I mean, they're doing something right. They've taken very good care of me. I do a ton of charity stuff for them. Play in a golf tournament for them every year, poorly. I think I've done the bowling thing 3 or 4 years in a row now. I've donated a bunch of stuff to the team when they do a silent auction and stuff.
That's great.
Some autographed books and pictures of Seth Rollins. Nobody wants some pictures of me, but Seth Rollins and hey AJ, can you sign this for me? It's for a charity event for the Nashville Predators. But
sure,
great team, great franchise, great owners. Just an unbelievable gift for the community here.
Well, they're a very fan-friendly organization, no question about it. And I also know you've become a big Titans fan as well. I mean, this team started 2-4, and now they're red hot right now. Ryan Tannehill is dealing. They got a big game coming up against the Houston Texans at home Sunday. You can watch it on NewsChannel 5. Winner gets sole possession of first place in the AFC South. It's huge. It's the game Titans fans have been waiting for. Yeah. When they started 2-4, I didn't think they'd be at this point here in December. I don't know if you did.
Yeah, me either. The funny story is I was a Titans fan before I moved here.
Really?
I grew up a Bills fan in Canada. Like I said, I had an antenna, so I got some Detroit channels, but on Sundays.
So you weren't a Lions fan, you were a Bills fan.
I was a Bills fan. I mean, you look at the two rosters at the time. They had Barry Sanders, but that was about
that was about it.
Thurman Thomas and Jim Kelly and Andre
I used to live and work in Buffalo, and I had the pleasure of getting to know all those guys. So
amazing! What a team!
Great guys!
What a team!
You haven't really lived till you hung out with Bruce Smith for a night. But
I'm sure
that's for another show.
But a different show altogether. I would imagine.
Exactly.
But that's so. Then they lost 4 Super Bowls in a row, and I cried. I was young, and I was a diehard fan. I just said I'd stop watching football for 3 or 4 years. I started playing video games, and to be honest, is Madden. So I said, well, I'm going to pick a new team. I'm not being a Bills fan anymore. And I like the Titans. I loved Eddie George. Loved Steve McNair. Yancey Thigpen. Derek Mason.
Ron Kurz, the Freak. All those guys.
Tons of guys. And Frank Wycheck was my favorite player. In a weird turn of events, I trained Frank Wycheck to wrestle. We did a pay-per-view.
That's right. I remember that.
Frank, a very good friend of mine, great guy, loves wrestling. I spent 3 or 4 weeks. He loves wrestling and respects it. And he said he would appear, and they didn't have to pay him or nothing. He would promote it on his radio show that was very popular. But someone has to train me and work with me, so I'm ready. I don't want to embarrass myself, and I don't want to embarrass wrestling. And I mean, it's very hard for me to respect somebody more than that. Frank's a good dude, and he put in the work. We were with him. I was with him every day for 2 or 3 weeks working on it. Training him just like. In no way was Frank ready to hit the international circuit or anything, but he was ready for that match. He was 100% ready.
But TNA was famous for that, because I know they brought in Pac-Man Jones, they brought in Brandon
as well.
They brought in Brandon Jacobs. I grew up a Giants fan. I remember Brandon Jacobs came in right after they won the Super Bowl. Bart Scott, Angle got to put him in the ankle lock. I remember that. The former Ravens linebacker, and that just goes to show. I've always liked that. I go back to when Lawrence Taylor headlined WrestleMania against Bam Bam Bigelow.
One of the biggest moments for wrestling ever.
It really was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It's they had done Mr. T and Cyndi Lauper appeared. She didn't wrestle, but that was for mainstream sports and mainstream coverage. That was at the time was revolutionary. Was so ahead of its time. Lawrence Taylor was one of the baddest dudes on the planet, when it came to football. A showman.
Man, I grew up a Giants fan, man. I was lucky to see pretty much every game he ever played. There's nobody better. Nobody. I don't care who you name. There's nobody better.
Single effort. No one could change a game like he could.
Right.
And was a showman too. And he showed it. Work Bam Bam. And that was a huge angle for that WrestleMania, and it was a big deal for wrestling.
When you look at what somebody like Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, has done. He starts off as a pro wrestler, takes that to another level. Now he's the highest paid actor in Hollywood. Is there a sense of pride amongst the boys that, hey, look what that guy did. Look where he started and look where he is now.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, that's like what I was saying earlier, is real media is starting to realize, like, not everyone can be him. Like, I mean, he's one in a million. You know, like, I can remember the first time meeting him doing a dark match in Cleveland. No, actually, it was in Pittsburgh. It was in the Igloo, and I did a dark match. And he met me for the first time, and, you know, hey, how's it going? And I met him and said, oh, I'm from Canada, and this is my first. He said, good luck. You know, he's a very personal guy.
Yeah.
And I probably didn't see him again for 3 or 4 months. And I mean, I'm telling you, for me, like, I could meet at just a taping of Raw, I can meet 20 or 30 people that I've never met before. Right. Sometimes 100 people I've never met before. And I didn't see him for 3 or 4 months. And the next time I saw him, I went to introduce myself again, because that's what you do. I mean, he's busy making millions of dollars and flying all over the world, and I'm making horse harnesses and driving my aunt's Intrepid to Cleveland. And he remembered me. He remembered my name. He remembered where we met. He remembered I was from Canada, and that stuck with me forever. It still does to this day. He's a guy. It's crazy. Like, I can tweet him, and maybe not instantly, but within a day or two, he responds. You know, and that's crazy to me. This is the biggest box office draw in the world, and the highest grossing actor in Hollywood, and he still has time for pro wrestling. You know, this is a guy that doesn't have time. I mean, like, he's been pulled in a million directions. He's been successful in everything he does, and is the blueprint for something like that. Is you know, the real world, the media world outside of wrestling realize that, look, this guy has something, and I think he would say it too. Is he just refuses to be outworked? You know, and even
he always talks about that. He's like, I'm going to be the hardest worker in the room. I'm going to get there before anybody. I'm going to leave after everybody's left. And I mean, that's taken him a long way. I mean, you know this. There are people that watch his movies and love him and don't even realize this guy used to be a professional wrestler and a sports entertainer.
One of the best.
Yeah, I mean, one of the best of all time.
He's just one of those guys that whatever he decides to do, he does it all the way. And he's a gifted performer in every aspect, physically, mentally, you know, with everything. I mean, and it shows in his success level. He's one of the most recognizable people on the planet. Yeah. And he came from wrestling local shows, being booked by Burt Prentice.
Worked here at the fairgrounds. Yeah.
So I mean, it's inspirational for sure. You know, and I'm never going to be him. We don't have the same toolbox, but I would say there's a bunch of tools that he has that I have as well. Sure. And a lot of that comes from wrestling, you know, and I'm definitely not him, but had branched outside of it. You know, I had a fishing show on Animal Planet, did a show on Travel Channel. I'm in talks with the NHL Network to do a show with them, possibly as soon as this summer. So yeah, I'm always hustling, man. And the truth is like, wrestling has opened doors for me that I never thought that I would even have a chance to look at. And those doors are all open for me. And people are finding out that wrestling is a goldmine of professional, interesting, unique performers, one way or the other, physicality-wise, verbal, in a million ways. So in pro wrestling, you have to be a bunch of things. You can't just be good at speaking. You can't just be a good athlete.
You have to be an athlete. You have to be an entertainer. You have to be a public speaker. You have to be all those things.
And you can't just do it on a level. You have to be good at all of it, because you're using all of those tools all at the same time. And that's why I love it. I love athletics. Like I said, I played rugby, played hockey, I played baseball, I skateboarded, I've inline skated, I've done, you know, athletically, I've done it all. None of it well, but you know, some of it okay. But yeah, and I loved theater. I did Improv Olympics, and I did community theater. I was Seymour from Little Shop of Horrors. Like I've done. I'm not much of a singing voice anymore, but yeah. So I've done it all, and wrestling takes all those things and piles it into one thing.
Yeah. Showtime Eric Young is here. If you want to talk to him, give us a call, 615-737-7767. We're going to take another break. Come back and talk more with the EY. Stay with us.